Ho, ho, ho! Welcome everyone to our product monthly webinar. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Polina. In Fibery, I'm in charge of custom loss, success, and panic. And we're starting our webinar. So I will start with sharing the screen. Uh, I hope you can see me, that you can hear me well. Of course, we tested everything, but everything may go wrong anytime. So there we are. Just in case, this webinar will be recorded. Recording will be uploaded to the YouTube, and you will be able to see it anytime. And if you registered, you will also receive a link with the recording. So no worries, you will have to leave at some point. So what we're going to go through today. So we will have 5 primary topics. The first one is permissions. Normally, we never start with permissions because sometimes you have to be prepared for what is coming. We usually start with something lightweighted, but today we will have a very special guest, Anton, who is our product guy for permissions and our marketing guy and our growth guy. And he will be the one guiding you through all the recent permission updates and our vision for the future. So he will join the stage in a couple of minutes. So if you have any question about permissions, it's the time to prepare them and bombard him right now on this webinar because he will have no escape route, I hope. Only get out of the webinar, but he is too nice to do this. Then we will go through the files, through the views updates, and through other updates, and then we'll have a normal Q&A session. So quick mention, Anton will guide you through the permissions, then we'll have a Q&A about permissions, because then he will have to leave. So you're very welcome to drop those questions even right now. Okay, but before he joins the stage, you will receive some stats. So in November, we had 4 Thursdays, 4 releases. Now I feel like maybe it's not a coincidence, but normally every month has 4 Thursdays and 4 releases. We released 30 features, 50, 50 bugs. Maybe we created a bit more, who knows? And overall, it's much less than we normally deliver, but many of them were cooked for a very long time frame. So even though there are not that many of them, they are very popular and had a high demand. We also had an offline meeting in Cyprus. As you see, there is a picture of us eating. I think it's very important to eat all together. And yeah, and also just a fun fact. During our last marketing weekly, we accidentally found out that some people have favorite numbers and some people do not. So was just curious if any of you have your favorite numbers, or you think it's just a little bit weird, why there has to be a favorite number. So I think this is enough fun and a very smooth entrance before the permissions. And there we are. Let's go through the permissions. Anton, I hope you can join the stage and that everything is going nice. Of course, we tested everything. Yay! Anton is here. It worked amazing.
Hello. Yeah, nice to see everyone joining. Kudos to everyone who is watching this on YouTube as well. I'm glad to finally be able to join Polina on this webinar. I don't have such a festive background. I'm sorry. I'm in the product development dungeons typically. And yeah, today all of my roles don't matter except for those that relevant to permissions. So the current access model is my brainchild, for better or for worse. And in the last couple of months, we've made quite a few changes, some smaller, some bigger. And I would like you to guide through them and also maybe provide some thinking that went along those changes. So there will be 5 topics. At any point in time, if you have any questions, please post them in either in questions section or in the chat. Polina will notice them. Some she might be able to answer straight away, and others I will answer during my pauses and at the end of my conversation as well. So let's start. We'll start with the most boring, but maybe most obvious stuff. I'll share my screen now. Um, So the first thing that we addressed is the names of access levels. So what was the problem before? Uh, Now, if you shared some, let's say, some task, and you provided someone with editor access, it meant they won't be able to share this task to web or revoke access for some other person because that's reserved for owner. However, if you shared the entire task database using the same editor access, they will be able to do that. So um, that was clearly a mess that we wanted to address. How it happened? Well, as usual, Fibery is almost 6 years old, and some parts of Fibery are more old than others, and some accidental complexity accumulates. In this case, yeah, our database access templates were older than entity ones, and space ones were like dinosaur time names and features. So now you have all these names matched across all different levels, which is good. And also, which is kind of what you expect. I hope new customers won't even believe that at some point in time it used to be different. Editor means the exact same thing no matter what you share, a space, a database, or an entity. Um, One thing that we also did here is that we renamed the top level access that is provided to a person who configures a space or generally a database, the workspace. Mm, because it used to be a creator, and we modeled it uh, using the word creator, meaning like internet creator, someone who doesn't just consume things but create things. But with time, it became clear that it has bad ambiguity, meaning that someone who created a space is a space creator, and someone who has creator access is a space creator. Those two are drastically different things. So it's clear we needed to rename it. But to what? And here's some behind the scenes thinking that we haven't shared. So, um, as you can tell, we settled on the architect term. But before we actually did that, we trialed the term inside our team, not just to refer to the access name, which is boring and obvious, but also generally. How do we call people who set up Fibery for their teams? So our champions, I think you guys, I would assume that most of the people who are watching this are the exact people I'm referring to. And what's different in Fibery is actually how we distinguish the people who set up everything and people who use then Fibery. So we're meant to create a product that is powerful for those that could handle this power, and then simple for the end users, those that just want to collaborate with their teams, don't want to think about databases, views, and stuff. And we realized that in Fibery, structure is our key advantage compared to, let's say, a tool like Notion, which is otherwise a pretty close tool. And that's why we chose the term architect, and we use it in two ways now, as a just a regular noun to describe you guys and to describe the access level that is needed to do your job properly. I hope that makes sense. Um, a bit of behind the scenes stats now. Since we renamed, by the way, so we renamed access levels, but it didn't mean that people get new access or some access changed. No, it's just purely cosmetic, right? We didn't revoke or add any access. We are not that crazy. We respect you guys, and we understand that privacy and like security, this is not something we can play around with. And as a nice change, we rarely do that, but the we've heard that surprisingly not all people follow our release notes religiously. I think you guys do for sure, all the people who are present here who are watching this. But some people don't, even if they're admins. So, with important changes that we make, now we try to hint on about them. So, as you can see, there is a hint. I can close it for good. Um, Hopefully, you didn't get surprised during these changes. So, as soon as these changes were made, here's an interesting thing. So here's the monthly new shares for databases, and in purple it's the old editor that is in fact owner, and that's how it's called right now. And in what it's teal probably, it's the new editor. And as you can see, you guys just stopped using the first one and start using the second one. um, so you used to apply editor template. Now you apply editor template, but those mean quite different things with different capabilities, which means that the name was more important probably, and we assume that you didn't grant the actual access you wanted to grant, but now you do. I hope this is the case. And yeah, and it's quite satisfying to see that nowadays the most popular access template is the one that didn't exist before our consolidation. And a similar story with spaces. We didn't use to track them, so here we have less data, so it's weeks in the x-axis, but the same story here. And we saw some adoption of the proper viewer access, um, because previously what we called viewer was actually commenter because it included rights to comment. Um, okay, one final thing about the whole access consolidations debacle is that we used to have, when sharing space, we used to have contributor access. Now, that was a remnant of dark times when we didn't have neither database access nor access for assigned users, and we had to resort to some Frankenstein monster um, that was called contributor access. That was some mix of those. Now we've hidden this access. It's no longer available for new workspaces for sure, but we didn't obviously change anyone's access if it's already applied. But if you absolutely need it, you can still access it um, via the experimental feature. But we would recommend you to instead use commenter on the space level. And then if you want someone to create, let's say, tasks, just give them the additional submitter access. And if you want assignees to automatically edit tasks, now you have this option now as well, that is also independent from the space or database access. It's customizable. Um, so hopefully it gives you more flexibility in who exactly sees and edits what. Um, Going a bit in the future, now you have a fixed set right now, but sometimes you want people, let's say, to edit tasks but not delete them, or edit but not create. And we have these access templates, right, where you can configure any kind of access and save it as a new template. but this is defined on the database level, but then is applied on the entity level. So, okay, so here is some strange viewer that I would configure that can view and delete. So I can add this template, and if I share any task, I can see this template now, right? But I cannot do the same for this list. That's what we are working on right now. So you will, without any UI for configuring those templates, but at least with a nice UI as soon as this template is configured. So you will be able to combine any capabilities basically and say that, okay, someone who can read, command, edit, but not delete is someone that is called, let's say, editor junior, and people will be able to share databases in that way. As soon as we have more info, as soon as we have these features and experimental, we will let you know. As always, if our access model is designed well, we will see it in December. Well, if we don't see it in December, you know who to blame. But it's not a promise. And that would be the end of the first section about all kinds of access levels. Now, if we have any questions already, I would be happy to answer them.
We
Polina?
do. We do have two questions. By the way, everyone, don't worry. I will take care of blaming everyone. That's like one of my success responsibilities. In fact, we have three wonderful questions. Let's start with not by the time they were created, rather by the context. So there is
Okay.
a question, by the way, and a nice note that architect is a perfect name. But then there is a
Thank
question.
you.
Probably we'll talk about that. What's the difference between architect and owner?
Okay. Yeah. Uh, okay. I see. Now I'm figuring out how the webinar thing is working. I'm sorry. We haven't asked each other's questions when we tested it. So it's good that you do now. So what's the difference between between architect and owner? So owner is someone who has the full access to all the, let's say, database or space data. So, for example, if I share tasks with designers using owner access, this means that they can do anything with any task. However, they cannot affect the structure of the database itself. So, create fields, rules, buttons, anything that you would see on the left. The same applies for space. So, an owner would be able to do anything with the data and with the docs and whiteboards, but they won't be able to create views or to add databases to a space or to share it, for example, publish it to the web. And architect is the person who don't just have access to all the data, but can also set up the structure in place. Okay, I hope that's clear.
And I clicked, I'm done answering, taking all the credits for your explanation. Thank you.
Good.
We have another question. I'm not sure that it is specifically about permissions, so you can say no, but maybe you can still tell, is there a place in Fibery where I, as a user, can see everything assigned to me, as well as everything that I'm watching?
hmm I think the best place for now would be home, right? So yeah, in this workspace, I don't have much assigned to me, but you will see it here. Um, the entities I watch would be in the watch list here, not in the same screen. I'm not sure. I'm not the best person nowadays to ask this question, but can you add a widget? Maybe Polina, you know. Yeah, watch list. You can add a widget to the home screen. Perfect. Then I'm the person to ask that now. Yeah, so you can basically configure your home to see all the entities that you're interested in.
Okay, that was a tricky one because I was curious. Will you find it out or not? But I'm happy you did. It means that our system is incredibly discoverable and the UI is amazing. That's living proof. Let's go to the next one, which is more about permissions. Maybe you wanted to talk about that in your future topics because I don't know, didn't see your plan. When are you planning to create a role of limited admin, aka admin that will not be able to see some closed limited data? Wait, let me
Yeah, I will talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
in a minute. Okay. I think this is it what we have, and some dopamine that submitter is the perfect role created by you. So yay, some dopamine on you.
Thank
Now
you.
you're very welcome. Probably go to the next part.
Yeah.
Folks, if you have more questions, you're welcome still to put them under the questions or in the comments part. Then Anton will share the second part about the permissions and we will go through the questions again.
hmm Thank you. Thank you, Polina. Okay, so let me simplify things. So here's another problem. This one is quite typical, but it is not maybe so straightforward, but I'll try my best to explain. So what's going on here? I'm in this workspace. I'm a company working with clients. So I have multiple clients, these guys, and I do some work for them, different projects, tasks in those projects. And I want to collaborate with these people, not just to share one thing here, one thing there. No, I want the full transparency, let's say. We have something from Xerox Spark, and I want them to be able to see all the work that we do for them, and to comment on this work, maybe to even edit some tasks. Now, how do I do that? How do I provide a good user experience for Jack? Now, it used to be quite a challenge, right? Because I want them, since they're collaborating um, intensely with me, I want them to actually see the views, the same views that I see, just with the data that is available to them. So, and let's say in this screen, I want them to see only projects and tasks of their company, not others, definitely. But I want them to see this view. So how do I do that? Previously, I had to resort to some workarounds. Mm, like one nice workaround might be to create a smart folder on top of spaces that is called clients, and basically recreate the same kind of views, but make them mirrored views so they appear under all clients. Then share the client. I will talk through that in more detail in a minute. And okay, and then Jack will see this smart folder. That is still an option, but unfortunately, it doesn't work all the time. And it also provides some clutter for the internal employees. You don't always need this client's smart folder. So how do I actually just unlock this space for them without oversharing? Mm. Another workaround used to be to create two spaces, one with data and another one with views. Don't share the space with the data, but share the one with views. Again, clutter. Again, not many architects, I will use this word now, not many of them came up with this solution on their own without our help. So, what's going on now? Mm, Now I can share a space with a Jack, let's say, with a viewer access, and there is this option. There is little cross. I can tell Fibery that, could you please not share all the data inside, just the views? And I'll invite Jack. And now let's see how it looks like for Jack. So I have um, Jack's workspace the same workspace, how it looks for Jack in a different browser. So you see, okay, they can see the space, but they obviously don't have any access to data yet. So now the second step is that mm, I want to share specifically work um, of their company with them. Let's say with editor template that is extended for simplicity, or actually I will skip through this step just this time, but I would happy to talk about it maybe later, or you can just check out our guide about custom access templates. So I would actually extend the same access to clients, to this like client entity, to projects inside, and to tasks inside these projects. So I'll share everything at once. I could have done it, by the way, using automatic sharing here, right? But I will be lazy this time. So let us refresh. And that's exactly what we wanted to achieve, right? So I don't see all other clients. I see all my tasks. I can assign people. So everything works. The user experience is decent because I can just see the same space. I can see all my tasks neatly sliced by projects. The difference is that the admin on the left can see all projects from all clients, and I can see only from mine. I think that's that's pretty straightforward. So that's the most popular use case, is that a person has access to plenty of data inside a space, so it still makes sense to share views with them, but not all data is shared. Some some subset, let's say. It might be, for example, for a game development studio, you develop many games and you want to share only one game and all the levels, assets, and features inside that game. This would be a pretty similar setup. Another case where this little cross here is makes sense if a space has a database that is not meant to be shared widely. So you can say, I'll provide viewer access on the space level, and then in each database, I would say, okay, so everyone can see this database, everyone can see this database, but not this one. I hope this makes sense. Um, one exception, one level where you won't see this cross is architect access, right? You don't see it, right? So for now, architect access always includes um, all the data inside the space. Um, it's purely a technical limitation at this point. We just understood that as soon as we allow people to have certain rights on the database, but not its data, um, we open up plenty of vulnerabilities inside Fibery, ways that you can, let's say, move a database between spaces and this way grant access to the data that you were not meant to see. Um, so there is quite a long list of such vulnerabilities, and we realized that, okay, we have more important things to do before we get to that. And this is connected to the question that you guys asked before about what about restricting admins. So right now, admins are always architects with full access in all the spaces. As soon as we close all those vulnerabilities, which we are currently about to do next year, that's at least our current plan. As soon as we close those vulnerabilities, we can allow you to um, de-extend this access on the space level, meaning that admins won't see the space data while remaining architects. Why so? Because we want at all times for admins to be able to create relations between any two databases, to create views, mm, because what's important in Fibery is cross-team and cross-departmental collaboration. So we want someone who is able to see the system at once, everything without any restrictions when it comes to at least the structure. So we're talking about this workspace map, we're talking about views, but not necessarily data. And for data, we will just require that for every space, there will be someone with full architect access, like this. But it doesn't have to be an admin. For example, here I have employee management space, and you can remove access to data from admins, but provide this access, this full access to, let's say, an HR director, and you'll be good. But that's our plan for early next year. This year, I will talk about what we're going to do in a minute. Um, but that's it on this topic for now. I will remove the extra access so not to spoil the next demonstration. And I'll pause for any questions.
And we have some. So first of all, there is like a remark that it's very interesting new solution, but if I forget to remove clicking in that cross icon, I can accidentally share everything. It's not a
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
So
yeah. But previously, you didn't have this cross at all, so you always shared everything. Now you have the option not to, but it's up to you not to forget. And it looks like pretty much the same as it looks like on the entity level, right? Task is a bad example, but let's open projects. So here, just the default is different, right? So here you have to extend, and in space you have to de-extend. That's because, um, as we probably correctly guess, I hope, in 90% of the cases you want the full access. Like providing access to the space is the most straightforward thing to do. And while there are some challenging setups, for most companies, they just grant everyone access to most of the spaces and call it a day, which is great, which signifies transparency. So we want to keep it simple for those that don't need these advanced features. But if you do, there is no shame about not being 100% transparent. Every organization's context is unique. So for them, we have this cross now.
okay, let's go to the next question. In fact, we have a question in the post question section and also a comment, but they
Mhm.
are all about the same case. And I'm asking confidently enough. Could you please, Anton, explain why we're not going to have view permissions? So let's give a bit more details about what people asked. So there is a question about giving more granular access controls for individual whiteboards or
Mhm.
documents, which, by the way, in Fibery we also treat as views, because currently owner role grants access to everything, and we need to restrict access to specific items. And another one on the same topic is from Jonathan, which also wants to have view permissions because he wants to have spaces with dedicated views. One view for architects, which have some fields, another view for viewers with less fields, etc. And as a result, have a cleaner menu for viewer with only what matters for them. So visibility in the left menu, access templates for permissions, big drop, Anton, you're welcome.
No, like Mickey is dropped on my head in the best case.
Exactly.
Um, um, okay, let me start with probably the most straightforward thing with documents. So right now you have two ways of actually storing documentation in Fibery. One is using these documents as views, and the other is creating a database of documents. And we will gradually, by the way, I don't need Jack anymore for some time. So we will gradually transition to database first approach for documents. Um, that's what we have been recommending typically during our calls with customers, and that's what we're preparing the system to do. Documents as views, retrospectively, I don't think it was a good idea, and we will deprecate it next year, most likely, at least gradually. So there will be no granular controls on how to share a document, just because it was technically not the best solution. But as soon as it becomes just another database like tasks, here you have the full flexibility, right? You can create your own access templates, you can use existing ones. So I hope this one is easy. Now with whiteboards, um, it's more tricky because on whiteboard you can also put any entities from all the different spaces, and depending on who is looking at the whiteboard, they will see different things. So this won't go away. Mm, I don't think I have much insights on this, but to step one, to make one step maybe um, back. That's an unsolved problem that Jonathan mentioned right now. So that right now in every space, you have a set of views that is common for everyone. So an architect configures them, but everyone sees the same set. It's simple, but it's not always desired. For now, we don't have any plans to change that, because there is always a balance between power and not even complexity, but complicatedness. And in our previous product, actually, that we worked on before Fibery, um, we had this view level permissions or folder level permissions where you can say, okay, this folder is only visible to these people. And to be honest, that was quite a mess. Um, so we've been there. We didn't like it. So that's why we don't have this thing in Fibery. Just the complexity tax is not worth covering the use cases for now. Maybe we'll invent some nice solution in the future, but so far we haven't. So it's gonna be like it is right now. And generally, the way access works in Fibery, we always provide access to data, albeit on different levels, but we don't provide access to views. Views are just a consequence, something implicit. And it's hard to provide access to, let's say, this view and all the data inside it, because you can change filters. For example, there might have been a quite strict filter here, then you remove, and this view has hundreds of thousands of entities. Should we share all of them? Um, there are plenty of questions on that. So it's we understand why it's tempting to share a view, whether externally or internally. And in some use cases, it's the most actually, from the product perspective, it's the most straightforward thing to do. But it's unlikely to happen in Fibery in the next couple of years. Um, Luckily for us, and probably you as well, most of these use cases can be solved using access, using permissions that we already have in the system. And if you're unsure, please reach out. we try to be responsive in chats. And if it's a challenging use case, who knows? Maybe I'll join you on a video call, um, and then we will see how to solve it in the best way possible. Any more questions, Belina?
We had one about replacement for documents, but in chat I shared the guide that we're going to replace documents most likely with databases,
Mhm.
but we haven't kickstarted anything, so I think we can skip
Yeah, it's
this
just a
one.
plan, right? So
Yeah,
for now, if you have a choice, if you are in doubt how to do that, whether to use documents as views or to create a database, we would recommend creating a database. But if it doesn't work for you, don't worry. Just use views. At some point, we're gonna migrate them in some non-destructive way. Okay, so
this is it. You can proceed.
yeah, let's go ahead because I don't want to take too much time. Mm, because here's the next problem. Mm, let's say I want Jack to be able to create tasks, not just edit the tasks of um, their company. So I will share task database, making them a submitter, right? Okay. Let's ignore this hint for now. Um, let's refresh. Okay. I removed some X's probably, right? Yeah, I'm sorry when I played around. So let's provide them viewer access here. Okay, now we're back. So I can create a task. And what's going to happen when I press enter? I'm a submitter, and I also would have access to this task through project and then client. But the problem is this second access, it's not instant, right? It takes some time to be propagated. So as soon as I press enter, the task will be created, but it will disappear. Let's see, just like that. And if I refresh it, at some point it will appear, hopefully in a few seconds. But refreshing is no fun. At some point, we're going to implement these live updates, but we don't know exactly when. It's a just challenging technical problem to have. But we have a more straightforward solution now. Now, if you grant someone submitter access and access via created by field, so access for someone who creates tasks is missing, we will show you this hint. Um, yeah, another example of how we reach out to you inside the product, not just via user guide or customer success. So I can then provide this access. And if I create another task, do that. You see it stays here. Um, we we were also adventurous enough, I would say, to enable this access by default now for all new databases. So if I create a database that is called, I don't know, meeting notes, you'll see that this access is already here. We assume that most people would benefit from it. And if you don't like this, you can always disable it at any point. Okay. Any questions on that? That was quick, I hope.
It was so far no new questions on that.
Perfect. And now the final change of the last couple of months, before I talk a little bit about the future, is sharing to web. So previously, this functionality was not ideal for many reasons. The first reason being, by the way, let me use it on the project. It would be more interesting here. Because previously, as soon as you shared a project to web, we applied your permissions as a sharer to this unique link. So once someone navigates to this link, they see exactly what you see. So the link was always sharer dependent, which also meant that we couldn't actually display this link for everyone. So if another person navigates to this project, they couldn't tell that it's shared to web, which is dangerous actually, just plain dangerous. And um, in some cases, we had dozens of those links that people generated unknowingly because they didn't know that someone else has already shared this thing. And because of non-customizable permissions, we overshared a lot. We shared all the users that are assigned together with their emails. We shared all the collections that are visible, like all the relations, and it was clear it's not a path forward. And the alternative was also clear as day. We already have access templates, these things for sharing internally. Why don't we apply the same things to sharing externally? One caveat being that we only allow read-only templates, right? Um, because there is no way for now to edit using this public link. But I can extend this access now. Previously, it was just the project. Now I shared the project and the tasks. And you can see a person who is accessing it via private link can see the tasks as well, but they cannot see the client or the user who created this task. If we want to see that, you can create a custom access template that includes access to client as well. So now you have the full flexibility, right? The same flexibility you have sharing internally, you have now externally. Um, if you have already shared a ton of things using the old mechanism, you can migrate all of them to the new one. You can just go to settings, public sharing, and there you will have a section with entities, um, and we will suggest you to migrate. You will pick what access template you want to apply and migrate all the old links to the new ones. And we recommend doing this as soon as you have a minute. And on and next spring we will do that for you anyway, because we want to deprecate the old mechanism because it's not so secure, it's not scalable, and we love to get rid of functionality in Fibery if we can. So this will be the case. If you want to migrate in a controllable manner, double test all the links that they're still working. They will, by the way. You can do it on your own schedule. Okay, that's it for public sharing. Any questions?
No questions, only dopamine that this is awesome.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so what's next in store? So right now we're working on this custom access templates for database access. That's hopefully coming somewhere in December if we're productive people with the right model design. Um, January worst case scenario. And the next thing that we will address after that is access to users. So now, as you might know, especially if you work with external parties, you surely know, because that's a huge pain point, we know. Uh, every user can see every other user, guests being the exception. So if I'm an observer member or an admin of a workspace, I can see everyone. I can, for example, find anyone in search and I can see their email, all the fields, not all the work. Obviously, these permissions to these things apply, but all the data here I can see. And that's obviously a problem if you invite a client or a freelancer to collaborate with you on something huge. Let's say you invite them into a space or a database, so they cannot be a guest really. You don't have an option to even hide other freelancers, other clients from them. So you don't want to share all this database, obviously. And in some cases, even GDPR won't allow you that legally. Um, so it's a problem for us to solve. And um, for now, we're looking at this screen. So right now, users database doesn't have any access page. So that's how it's gonna look like. First, you will be able to tell Fibery who needs to see all users and who all users can see. Um, so you can restrict here to, let's say, everyone with your company's email. And then on top of that, you allow, let's say, people inside the same user group to see each other. That would be the new default. Or as you can see here, people with the same email domain can see each other because there is no harm done with that, right? If we invite um, a couple of people from our partner company, they can see each other. Mm, that's good. And another problem being admins are too powerful and want to keep the number of admins to a minimum. How can we then delegate some of admin functions to other users? Um, one of those function is to be able to manage users in the workspace, invite them, deactivate them. You will be able to provide this access to someone else eventually. So that's our next big thing. We have devised a quite a detailed plan, and I think we will start in the coming couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll see something midwinter. Any questions on that?
No questions so far. I think it means that it's absolutely improperly approved, and there is nothing but happiness behind the silence. I'm sure. No questions. Nice to see these new features. Yeah, would be
Yeah,
nice to see
thank
them
you.
real as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope, I personally, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, especially because it's an century-old problem for us, and we have finally found a set of decent solutions. And I'm looking forward to actually testing them in real life. Um, yeah, looking forward to our one of the Thursdays. And you guys will tell us whether we actually solve this problem or not. And that's it for from my side for today. I've taken quite some time, almost 50 minutes. So thank you for bearing with me. um, if it has been somewhat useful, I would be happy to join at some points. I would also, since you were so kind to me, the questions were um, insightful. I will encourage other team members to join these webinars, maybe, so we can have more guests, more people from inside our company who can share their thinking behind their work and provide some maybe more transparency in how we operate, but also help you guys to get the most out of Fibery. Thank you for today, and have a nice rest of the webinar. I'll stick for a while if there are some questions, but
There is
at
one, by
some,
the way. I know that you
yeah,
have 6 minutes left, by the way, till the next meeting, which will
yeah,
be, what will be about? Maybe permissions. Yay.
who knows? Yeah,
But before that, there is a quick question from
yeah.
Jonathan. Is there any plan to allow specific domain users to automatically join Workspace as a guest
Ah,
without having
ah.
to create an account for everyone, like Fibery Wiki for the whole company?
Yeah. So right now, the closest thing that we have um, uh, is um, generating a link, right? So you can have a link and you can say that, okay, everyone can join as an observer using this link, which is, by the way, free of charge. Even if you already have a paid subscription, you don't pay for observers. So you can send this link somewhere to your Slack, to your Microsoft Teams account, maybe put it somewhere in your messaging platform, and then people will be able to join Fibery and immediately access some stuff that is available for everyone. That is the closest thing right now. Now, at some point, you will be able to also say that people with your company email domain can join, even without a link. They can just um, log in, let's say, via Google or via Microsoft, via your SSO, and they can enter the workspace without any custom links or without like explicitly creating a user. It will be done implicitly. It's already available, by the way, for enterprise customers with SAML SSO and just-in-time provisioning. But for smaller workspaces, this feature is still in the backlog. We'll make one step towards it with all the access to user stuff. We will approach this feature as usual in a Fibery way. So we will make it modular and flexible, and some of these modules will be reused for other things. And some of the modules we will reuse from earlier features, such as custom access templates or user groups. Yeah, that's Fibery is a like a digital Lego for you guys, but also for us as well. And it brings me a lot of satisfaction when we can when the puzzle piece just falls into place, and that's what we hope is going to happen with access to users. We'll see.
Yay! That was the last question so far.
Okay,
Um, awesome. Thank you so much,
thank you so
Anton.
much.
It went almost exactly like planned, just in case. Before we were thinking like, doesn't it have to be in the beginning or maybe in the end? Will we have enough time? There is like 1 hour. Normally the webinar takes like 30, 40 minutes. It was a good decision to start
Yes,
from
I
this
agree. We have
wonderful.
accumulated plenty of permission changes and questions, and I'm
Yes,
glad we have been able to go through them.
that's
Thank you.
true. I'm also very happy because maybe there will be less questions in the future. Good luck with the next Kickstart. Hope your head will not pop up. And see you, Anton. But everyone
Bye
else,
bye.
please stay because we have a bit more things to go through. I will do my best to do this fast, just because I think that overall, like listening to someone, some talking heads for more than an hour is nah. But the good news, it will be recorded, so you can like. Even if you leave right now, you'll break my heart, but I will respect that. And you will be able to rewatch something or like read through the YouTube timestamps and find something helpful for you. So I will probably, yes, just spend a bit less of, okay, this one, a bit less time about small improvements we made. So permissions were not the only thing we were cooking. We also improved files a lot. We plan improving files, I think, till the end of January. This is where the scope ends. So now it's possible to download all of them, rename. Yes, file renaming. So obvious, but it wasn't here for all this time. Delete everything as a bulk action, batch download, and file preview and open in new tab. So I just have something to show it fast and furious. Let it load, let it load, let it load. Okay, so for example, here I have just like a random task, and here I have a lot of attachments, and I can click here, I can download them with one click, and I can also delete them all with one click. There is a video. If I click on this video, oh my God, it's not downloading automatically. It gives me the preview. I don't know what about you, but I was struggling so much with this lagging of the preview for the files, and downloaded the same file like 15 times because I forgot whether I downloaded it before or not. And if we go, for example, here to this view, I can highlight several tasks. And here I have now this option to download all files across those that I have highlighted. What else will be improved? Now, like um, those files, this is how they look like. The units, this part will be improved. I mean, the visibility of the file itself will be improved a lot, plus more performance improvements, plus some polishing here and there. So there are no really big features we're going to release about that. And why did I stop sharing the screen? If I could just switch to this one. No, not to this one. Yeah, that's about the files. Views updates. We released the gallery view. Um, and it is connected to the files because first we had to update the files so we're stored properly, and so then later we could visualize it in the gallery view. So the gallery view is the gallery view. I mean, before we only had a board view where you could set the image as a cover. Now gallery view is really like a separate view which you can create. So by the way, this year we added the Gantt, we added the gallery, and we added dashboard. So views received really a lot of love from here. When you create the gallery view, you can choose whether the orientation has to be landscape or it has to be a portrait. You can also like play around with the size of the cards. So yay, we can also almost see the whole team here with their fancy photos. And you can then visualize, you can then embed the gallery view into the whiteboard, into the dashboard, like everywhere. So it's proper view, properly designed, with a lot of love done. I hope you'll find some nice use cases for it, like, I don't know, inventory management, employee management. Why not? We also simplified and upgraded new report screen. So what does that mean? That's the tab. Now, if I create a new report, before there were many different options. What can be chosen here, like Google Analytics, your own source, something else. But we found out that for the like last 6 years, only 30 reports like were created and still live. So it was definitely a way, like not only adding something to the product, but removing something, just to make it more simple. So we removed this option. Now it looks much more clean. And we also like improving on the background some report performance. Just saying. Um, so this is probably it about the reports. And one more thing that we added is feed view quick search edit. So let me show it to you. Okay, so that's the feed view. Feed view is a nice like block style visualizations. It probably the only one which can nicely visualize the rich text with all its richness and markdown. And now you can like search inside it. It all has product. So it was a bad example, but now it works. What is coming? Quick filters. Yes, I'm promising it not for the first month, but we're still cooking them. It appeared to be that filters is much more complicated topic than we even expected. And combining quick filters with the filters we already had, plus my own filters, plus peanut filters, plus filter groups, became very challenging from UI side. So development was like this, and the designing was like Yeah, you can imagine there is no enough space right here. This is why cooking them takes that much time. Views collapse expand everything in different views is also coming. I don't know about you, but I was struggling a lot with that, so that will be improved. Reports, filters, and loading and performance improvements. So if you were using reports before, you could probably notice that the more entities you have in the report potentially, the more time it takes for it to load. And when you create the report, you can apply filters. For example, I want to analyze tasks only created this month. So this already improves the performance. However, in some cases, the database can have a lot of fields. So like there will be, I don't know, 50 entities, but each of those have, I don't know, thousands of entities in the collection, and this also affected the performance. And in some cases, it would even fail to load. So right now we are like restructuring the way the reports are loaded, improving the filters on the report creation as well, both for the historical and normal reports. So uh, it was just, the performance was improved. And one more thing, I think we will go through it in the other updates, but it's also about the views. So I will share it right now. Okay, so now you see the table with allocations and employees. And there is very nasty part, no employee, right? I hate it personally. I mean, like, I have like all of my allocations have employee related. Like, why do I see it? And what can we do now? It's like turn it on and it will disappear. It was, in fact, became much more complicated task than we assumed when introduced like the original solution. So it was waiting for a couple of years in the backlog to be delivered, but now it's here, and I'm like, yeah, finally, it's much cleaner, and I'm just happy to have it. Hope you will find it helpful as well. Okay, this is about the view updates. Whiteboard is also a view, and we're still cooking something. So what we delivered right now. Um, share this tab instead. Just like I think that my internet is not that perfect, but it loaded. Okay, so now to the whiteboard with the insert a card, because yes, view is a card in its very own way. You can add the real views. So for example, here I embedded the template feed, which we created before to show that now we have a search in feed view. And I can see it, I can treat it like as a normal card, I can resize it, I can make it like longer. So if the dashboard view was not enough and you maybe wanted to create, I don't know, onboarding sequence for your teammates, like go here and then here, or educational something, or maybe something for the marketing purposes, and people had to see some important metrics on the whiteboard directly to keep the context, now it's possible. Awesome. And there were also two small but just also quality life updates. We added ability to show avatars from user database. It wasn't possible before because user is a very special database still, but now you can turn it off and on as a unit. So if you uploaded the avatar, you can like not just use the files to show the file, but the avatar. And you can also now show icons as well. So if you gave a fancy icon to some entity, like maybe the icon will be a better choice than the database name. And yes, let me just, it's reorder it. So it just has to become a bit more pleasant. Right now, we don't have anything but couple of bugs in the backlog to be fixing. And we're not sure which feature to start next one because developer is busy with bugs and the designer, aka the product person who is working on the whiteboard, is also working on the mobile. And since we released the mobile, yes, it's better, but still it takes a lot of attention This is why like Whiteboard again started receiving a bit less love, and we are even not sure what will be the next thing to deliver. Yeah, mind map option to color the cards themselves. So we will check other like small things we can deliver fast that don't require deep thinking, because mind map, unfortunately, it's like it's a big thing that requires a lot of designing. Take into account that you can like too many things to think of. This is why we are procrastinated it a little bit, but yeah, it's a popular request. That's true. So we'll note that, by the way, all the comments you leave here, I will later like get all of them and we'll share with the whole team, which with everyone who didn't join the webinar, neither as a token head or as a viewer, but they will still be aware of all your requests and comments. So no worries about that. And other updates. So yes, hide empty, no parent groups and smart folders, tables, list, and confuse. Hooray! Fibery mobile beta. Release the mobile beta. If you signed up for the mobile as a beta tester, you had to receive the invite. If someone hasn't received the invite, or you like didn't sign up because you didn't believe us, understandable. You can just like ping us in the chat in intercom, and we will grant you that like with the email you want to get the access from, and we will grant it to you, not a problem. Also, we released Fibery AI Build 2.0. Although it's just a small line, in fact, it received a big upgrade. So AI is something you can build with. Before it was powerful but pretty slow. So and it didn't have enough context. And right now we like it took us about 2-3 months to properly rebuild it. So now it became much faster, much more concise, and is making less errors. And it's like only the first step of the AI improvements. AI is still on our radar, what we think can improve Fibery. So we don't want, to add AI because it's a fancy thing which attracts people with money, which they're going to throw at you, or just like a marketing bullshit. We try to make it helpful for our target personas. And our target personas are creators like you. So we're thinking all the time how it can speed up your work. Like formula creator, it's just like it's not a magic wand which will give you nice metric, but it will help you to write a syntax if it has the logic inside. Creating update builder, it can be handy in the beginning, but it can also quickly add new fields, convert the fields, right? Like if I created a wrong one and I cannot convert it, I can ask AI to create a new field and move the data there, check it out if everything is nice, delete the old one. And another one challenge is the knowledge management with AI, that we want AI be better aware of the context. So there is already an ask mode, which I think is pretty powerful if you're good at prompting, because it has access to your data. And you can ask it like, please give me a smart analysis of everything happened before, like last month, take into account this, and this, and it can save you a lot of time. But it's still lacking the context. Like I want to open customer's card and say, please give me overview of this whole customer's life cycle from the beginning for today, and more emphasize on their challenges for today. So I didn't like it's possible to write a prompt and click the button and it will add the summary somewhere, but it's still too many steps and the quality could be better. uh, and this is a big challenge that we are taking. We're also cooking, creating reports with AI, not just because reports are not historical, not cumulative one, but normal one, normal ones, because reports something everyone needs, but not everyone has enough background to like properly understand how analytic works. And this is fine because like it's big and complicated theme. And in the unicorn world, of course, everyone was aware, but now it's quite a challenge for many people from what we see. So we don't have many teammates working on that. Like there are two teammates working on that, and both of them are like really AI enthusiasts. So this is a combination of their passion and our long-term vision. And maybe, like, fingers crossed, at some point, Michael will join just like Anton and will tell you a bit more about the AI and the vision on that. Because as you see, we deliver improvements, but it's like not the primary focus. We're still interested in the rest of the product as well. Yes, thank you for listening for my TED AI talk. We also added description to fire to field for your API tokens. Hope it will be helpful. And in terms of integrations, we don't plan to improve a lot, to be honest. We are planning Stripe integration. And in terms of assignments, we want to make users native Fibery users. So this is a list we're going through, and Intercom at HubSpot were delivered recently. Um, yeah, the next one. Yes, what we're going to work in next? AI work in context in December. Hopefully, access previous values and rules. At some point, like we trimmed the scope for the automations, and this is very frequently requested thing. So we are cooking it right now and create reports with AI in December, not cumulative ones. This is a nightmare. I still don't understand them, although I can create them and they're working nicely. I don't have, this deep understanding, the deep feeling that, yeah, I know this. I'm still each time being very anxious when I have to create something with the historical data. Um, we have an indicator. We also have some nice the content comparison with Notion, a video, whiteboard, overview, and comparison with other tools. Quarters, how to work with quarters if you're planning by quarters, why it's better to create a database than a single select. New guide on workspace map, a new example about creating historical report to track state changes. By the way, I hope I won't lie, but in our plans, it's also for the next year, some improvements in the project management area, like workflow status, checking how many time the card spent in specific state. So there is a chance this area will receive some structured love. I don't know. And how to configure a lightweight allocation system. If you are, by the way, part of our Architects Weekly newsletter, most likely you received all those just in time after they were written. And this is it. If you have any questions, but I think like everyone dropped all the questions during the Anton. So those people who stay till this moment, thank you so much. Have a great holidays ahead. And thank you for being with us overall as a Fibery and in this webinar in particular, sending you a lot of hearts. I saw there were a lot of heart emojis. So, it's like, I don't remember this word in English, but yeah. Thank you so much and have a great bye-bye.